Welcome and hello from Alex, with a story from r/Am I the Bad Guy, where a daughter with a PhD in wildlife biology clashes with her dismissive dad. Coming up next is a story from Scheme Long 4640. Am I the bad guy for telling my father I do know about that? I, female 28, am a wildlife biologist. I have a master's degree in wildlife conservation and am hoping to go for my doctorate soon. I have worked in this field since I was 16. And am very passionate about it. When visiting my family recently for Easter, my mom asked me to tell the family a little bit about work. I was very excited to talk about my current research. Here's where the issue comes in, though. My father, male 60, would respond to almost everything I said with him, "I don't know about that." At first, I tried to ignore it, but it just didn't stop. Eventually, I responded, "Well, I do, given the 2 degrees and all." I responded in a light, playful tone, but he did not take it well at all. He immediately accused me of being disrespectful. I responded, "I am sorry, but it's disrespectful of you to insinuate that you know more than I do about my field." Dinner got pretty quiet after that. I finished the meal, helped with the dishes, and said goodbye before leaving. But on the ride home I got a phone call from my mother asking me why I felt the need to aggravate my father and why I had to talk back. I am a 28-year-old professional. This feels insane to me. Am I the bad guy? No, Opie is not the bad guy. Here's why this whole situation strikes a nerve. It sounds like Opie's dad might have unintentionally undermined her expertise. Having someone constantly doubt your knowledge in your chosen field, especially a family member, can be incredibly frustrating. Her response, while perhaps a bit sassy, seems like a natural reaction to repeated dismissal. Opie even tried to keep things lighthearted at first. It's her father who escalated things by accusing her of disrespect. It's important for parents to acknowledge their children's accomplishments, and Opie clearly deserves recognition for her dedication and education. Maybe Opie's mom could play a role in smoothing things over. Hopefully, a conversation can happen where Opie's dad can acknowledge her expertise and apologize for making her feel unheard. Coming up next is a story from sddramaaita. Am I the bad guy for flipping out on my fiancée after her daughter almost got me arrested? I, 38 male, got engaged to my fiancée, 37 female, about 3 months ago. We've been dating for almost 3 years. She has 2 kids from a previous relationship, 15 female and 12 male. Their dad is involved in their lives and for the most part the adults all co-parent and communicate well. I get along really well with the 12-year-old, but I have always struggled to build a relationship with my soon-to-be stepdaughter, Riley. She has made it very clear to me, my fiancé, and her bio dad, that she doesn't view me as a parent and doesn't want me to try and be a father to her because she already has one. A few days ago, my fiancé sent me a text asking me if I could pick up Riley from school because she had something come up at work that was going to keep her late. My fiancé usually picks up Riley once a week and brings her to a chiropractic appointment to help with a sports injury Riley got. She told me she would call the school to let them know that I would be picking Riley up because I wasn't on the approved pickup list yet. However, when I got to Riley's school, it quickly became apparent that my fiancé forgot to call the school. The school has locked doors that require you to have a code or be buzzed in by the office. I buzzed into the office to let them know I was there to pick up Riley and that my fiancé should have called to let them know. They didn't know anything about it. I was left waiting outside for 10 minutes while they figured it out. I tried calling and texting my fiancé, but she didn't answer. Then, the school resource officer, an actual uniformed cop, came out and told me that I would have to leave and that if I refused then he would arrest me for trespassing. I tried talking with him, but he just kept saying I was not authorized to be on school property and that I had to leave. I had no choice but to leave without Riley. Finally, an hour later, my fiancé called me back. I explained what happened and she apologized for forgetting to call the school because she got distracted with work. She told me she would figure it out and meet me at home. When she and Riley got home, Riley went straight to her room. My fiancé sat me down and told me that Riley had lied to the office and told them that she didn't know who I was and had never seen me before. She thought it would be funny. She told me she explained to Riley how dangerous that was and was going to work with Riley's dad to figure out a punishment. Needless to say, I did not take that news well. I admit I did raise my voice to her. I didn't yell, but I did get louder than I usually talk. She told me to calm down and I told her that I won't calm down because her daughter almost got me arrested because she thought it would be funny. I told her that she's just as responsible for this as Riley is because she didn't call the school. And it put me in a position where I looked like a creep or predator. My fiancé thinks I am overreacting and that I need to let her and Riley's dad handle this. In my opinion, no one is bad here, but the situation could have been handled better by everyone involved. Opie's frustration is understandable. Being falsely accused and nearly arrested is scary. His fiancée clearly dropped the ball by forgetting to call the school. Riley's lie was dangerous and disrespectful. It's important for her to understand the potential consequences of her actions. Here's the thing, Opie expressing his anger is fair, but yelling isn't necessarily productive. Maybe a calmer conversation about his feelings and the seriousness of the situation would have been more effective. Opie's fiancée needs to take responsibility for forgetting the school and apologize to both him and Riley. She also needs to work with Riley on a meaningful consequence. This is a chance for open communication and a chance for Riley to understand boundaries. Hopefully, Opie and Riley can build a better relationship moving forward. Coming up next is a story from Mean Description 7970, and if you like the video so far, don't forget to like the video. It only takes a second and helps me out a lot. Am I the bad guy for working less after my divorce even though it means my ex gets less child support? For the last 10 years I have been working my ass off to earn money so my family could enjoy an excellent standard of living. This was apparently the wrong thing to do since it led to my wife deciding that since I was never home she should bang other dudes. When I work out of town I earn about $240,000 a year. Where I live child support for 2 kids is about $3,300 monthly. With that salary. Since my divorce I went to 50/50 custody and I work in town so I only earn $100,000 yearly. So my child support is actually only $800 a month. My ex is going nuts because she isn't getting what she thought she would. My lawyer has tried explaining that child support is based on income, and since I am not working crazy hours to make lots of money for vacations and a huge house I don't need, I do not earn as much. She is telling everyone what an asshole I am for cutting back on my work to deprive my kids. That is bullshit. I have my kids half the time, and since I cannot be out of town I earn less. My kids have everything they need. Am I the bad guy? This whole situation sounds messy and frustrating. Clearly, Opie's ex is upset about the financial change, but painting him as the villain is unfair. Here's the thing, Opie deserves a chance to see his kids more and have a better work-life balance. Child support is based on income, and it sounds like his lawyer is on point. If Opie is providing for his children's needs during his custody time, then he shouldn't be demonized for prioritizing his well-being and spending more time with his family. On the other hand, if Opie significantly reduced his income to spite his ex, that wouldn't be cool. But based on the story, it seems like a genuine desire for a more balanced life. In my opinion, no one is bad here. It's a tough situation, and hopefully Opie and his ex can find a way to communicate and co-parent effectively for the sake of the kids. Coming up next is a story from Superb Dirt 3747. Am I the bad guy for telling my brother that he's going to be a shit dad? I, 30 male, was at my brother's, 34 male, house when my sister-in-law, 31 female, went into labor. They live in the countryside so the signal isn't too great sometimes unless they walk up the lane, so my brother was supposed to take her to the hospital instead of calling an ambulance, but for some fucking reason he decided to freak out and drive off somewhere. I can't drive, so I ran up the lane to call 999. It took forever to get signal, and then it took forever for the ambulance to get to the house. I almost had to deliver the baby for fuck's sake. She ended up giving birth in huge back of an ambulance. This whole time my brother had just disappeared. He finally turned up at the hospital about 8 boyfriend hours after he disappeared. Apparently he'd gone to our dad's house until our found out my sister-in-law gave birth and made my brother go see her. I yelled at him outside the hospital for being so fucking stupid. He told me that he just got scared and didn't know what to do. I told him that he's going to a shit dad if he keeps reacting like this. What's he gonna do when the kid gets injured and it's his responsibility to take him to A&E? Is he just gonna dump the kid and run off to dad's house again? He's such an idiot, fucking hell. He started crying and called me a twat for being so mean to him. I just lost it with him. He was acting like a child when he should be comforting his fucking wife and apologizing to her for being a dick. He called me a cunt and told me that I don't understand what he's feeling. I get that he was scared, but he seriously needs to get a grip and help his wife. Am I the bad guy? Based on the story provided, Opie seems to be not the bad guy, but rather the brother is the bad guy. Opie's frustration and anger seem justified given the circumstances. The brother's actions of abandoning his wife during labor and reacting irresponsibly instead of supporting her demonstrate a lack of maturity and readiness for fatherhood. While fear can be overwhelming, his behavior was unacceptable, especially when his wife needed him the most. Opie's concern for his sister-in-law's well-being and the future of their child is understandable, and his reaction, although harsh, stems from a place of concern. Coming up next is a story from Alone Sherbert 3607. Am I the bad guy for telling my kids why I don't buy their half-sibling anything? The mother of my 2 children, 10 male and 9 female, cheated on me during our marriage and became pregnant with another man's child. I learned this when I caught her with the man in question, and after quizzing her, she admitted there was a strong chance he was the father of the baby she was pregnant with. I ended our marriage right there and took a DNA test when her youngest was born, and she was not mine. So in the divorce, custody and support was only factored in for our 2 kids. I paid some child support because I made more than her, but we had 50-50 custody time with the kids, and I remained an involved dad. My ex lived with her youngest's father October of last year when he took off without a word and dipped from their lives. She has been in pursuit of child support ever since, but he cannot be found, and he quit the last known job he had, so she has been unsuccessful so far. This has led to her struggling, and I buy more for the kids we share so they don't suffer because of the failed relationship with the affair partner. Last month my ex told me she was struggling to keep up with the expenses for her youngest, and she asked me if I would maybe buy some stuff that included her too. I said no, that I was responsible for my kids and I would not become financially responsible in any way for the child she made while cheating on me. She begged and told me they will have different lives if I don't help, at least for now, and I told her that was not my problem and maybe she'll think about that in the future before she starts an ongoing affair. She told our kids about asking me and encouraged them to ask me for them. The kids were confused because they have always known their half-sister is not my child, but they started to doubt because of how their mom talked, saying good men take care of all their children and loving a child who is part of your family should never be that hard. The kids approached me and asked me about it and told me their mom wanted them to ask me for stuff for their half-sister. So I explained to them that she is not my child or part of my family, but she is still part of theirs. They asked why, since my oldest has some memories of his mom and I being together while she was pregnant. I said their mom got pregnant with their half-sister while we were together, but DNA proved she was not mine and I did not raise her for that reason. I told them I am still their dad and nothing has changed, but I was never really their half-sister's dad and don't want to buy her stuff like I do for them. They understood, and when they went back to their moms, she called and cussed me out for telling the kids more details than she wanted them to know. I said they had always been aware they had a different dad to her other child, and that needed to remain clear because I was not claiming her now that her father has abandoned her. She called me a cruel dick. Am I the bad guy? This whole situation is a mess. Opie definitely isn't the bad guy for refusing to financially support his ex's child from another relationship. That's a tough line to draw, but Opie already takes care of his own kids and helps out financially even though they have 50/50 custody. Opie's ex seems way out of line here. Cheating and then expecting financial help for the child resulting from the affair is a lot to ask. It's understandable she's struggling, but that's not Opie's responsibility. Dragging the kids into it and making them feel like Opie is the bad guy is manipulative. Honestly, everyone kind of comes out looking bad in this story. Opie's ex for the obvious reasons. Opie maybe could have been a bit more tactful with his ex, but he was honest with his own kids, which is important. This whole thing seems like it needs some serious communication between Opie and his ex for the sake of the kids. That wraps up r/Am I the Bad Guy? If you enjoyed this content, make sure to visit my Spotify channel, link is in the description, so you can listen to the best Reddit story while being outside, and remember to hit that subscribe button.